So this episode is in partnership with ProgressData.io, a research-based tool for HR managers to measure what matters when it comes to gender and diversity, pay gap, and creating parity reports with actionable improvement suggestions. That's ProgressData.io. Hello and welcome everyone to How the Pod. Today, we're going to keep looking at change makers that change the society and technology around us. My name is Heidi Harman, and this is How the Pod. Today, we've got with us Maryam Nasri, a project manager that has great experience working in SEO and digital strategy. Welcome, Maryam.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you, Heidi. So nice to be here today.
Yeah. How's life?
It's good. It's hectic at the time, but yeah.
Cool. So we've both, last week, we did a co-hosted shared room in a Clubhouse. Clubhouse is the new social community that's audio-based.
Exactly.
Basically, it's exploded. Take it away.
Yes, it has. And it's people say that it's addictive. And I actually know some people who started the room for Clubhouse anonymous addicts. So they are sharing stories about how they fell asleep at Clubhouse and things like that. So it's quite fun.
It's kind of remarkable. I got an invite a couple of months ago, or I signed up a couple of months ago, and then I got my invite just in the beginning of January. And I went in there thinking, is this another thing? Do I need to do, But what really fascinated me was that it does seem to mimic the internet pretty immediately. Like you have all the different types of groups, whether we like them or not, there is a plethora that mimics the internet, which I find is really fascinating and also kind of gives it a reason to exist. What kind of rooms? I mean, you host your own room. Do you want to tell us a bit about that and the rooms that you're usually in?
Yes, so I don't host it myself. It was Dominic Webb who created the room first. And then now Michelle Barrows and I are also co-moderators together with Dominic. So we've been having our fitness walk and talk for a little bit more than 2 weeks now. So we are entering our third week. And we are walking and talking for 1 hour a day.
That's really neat. It's kind of very like time boxed. It's at a certain hour. So,
yes.
That's a nice format. What other formats do you see on Clubhouse currently?
Oh, it's everything, every format that you can think of. I mean, there are silent rooms. I just came out of one. So we have 10 minutes where we just catch up what we want to accomplish, and then 15 minutes where we work in silence. And after about 25 minutes, the moderator will tell you to stand up, drink a little bit of water, and then continue. So no discussion. And then we hold each other accountable at the end of the 15 minutes. And then there are chat rooms where they enjoy music together. They can jam together. I heard that they had created a musical in one of the rooms. And then there are, of course, the business strategists that are there to promote themselves and teach and so forth. So everything that you can imagine.
So for the ones that haven't gotten or received an invite, haven't had the chance to go in and have a look at what it is, how would you summarize a room and a club?
Oh, a club is it's an umbrella for several different rooms. So a club has a theme, and the members of the club can create rooms based on that theme. So it can be a broad theme, like women in business, for instance, and then below that umbrella, you can create whatever you want that has to do with women and binary in business. But then there are other clubs that are a little bit more specific. So yeah, I can't remind myself right now. I'm in one that is a North African club, North Africans around the world, and those rooms are more about chatting. We can talk about food preferences, about travel, about music, sharing, the latest music from North Africa together. Things like that.
That's lovely. And you also speak French and Spanish and a bunch of other languages, but Swedish.
Yes. It was quite funny. I was in the North African room, and there was a guy who looked into my profile, and he saw that I speak Portuguese, so he started speaking Portuguese with me. And he was also originally from Tunisia, so it was quite funny. And the other ones were like, "What are you doing here?" So, but I speak a little bit of Portuguese, but I speak fluently Spanish and French.
Cool. Have you noticed any differences between the different regions or areas around the world?
I have. I think the European rooms are more quiet. Everyone is waiting for each other's turn. And I think Australian rooms have been quite similar, and they like to use the microphone to communicate to each other. So if I want to speak, I can flash the microphone slowly. If I want to applaud, I can flash the microphone quickly, so that it's quiet and you wait until it's your turn to speak. American rooms, they are a little bit more lively, and also people of color in Europe, when they create their own rooms, it's more lively, and you can interfere and jump into the conversation, and it's more dynamic, a lot more dynamic. They also use flashing rapidly with the microphone, but if it's a small room with up to 30 people, they don't wait until given the word to speak. And I like that. I like when it's more dynamic. I prefer those rooms, to be honest.
Yeah. And it is evolving rapidly, which is really interesting. I don't think I've ever seen a beta that's been so kind of advanced in how fast it's releasing new features. And when we hosted our club, was it a club? It was a room last week. Just to kind of set the stage for the people who are listening and maybe don't have the visual reference of what it looks like on the inside. You and I were moderators, so we get a green icon. The people who are new, who haven't been there for more than a week, they get a party icon, which is like a little icon.
They have the party hat on, and then everyone is welcoming them. Everyone is having much more patience with them, asking questions, not knowing. Like, for instance, entering on the stage with the microphone on and things like that. People will be like, "Hey, I see that you're new. Now that you're on the stage, please mute yourself until it's your turn to speak," or something like that. So, yeah, it's a really good thing. And what I notice is that a lot of people, especially in Sweden, they tend to enter the app when they get the invitation, and then they wait for more than a week until they start using it. And then they lose the party hat, so people will think that they already know everything. So now I'm a little bit more conscious when I give out an invitation, because I've received some more invitations to hand out. And I tell the people, I will not hand it out to you until you are free to have an intro with me, so that you know how it works. Because otherwise you will not benefit from it in the same way.
Yeah, that's a very kind thing to do, I think.
But I mean, it's not only kind, because the people that you invite to Clubhouse will reflect on yourself as well. Yeah. So, for instance, if you invite somebody that invites somebody else, etc., and then some of those people are behaving badly and are being thrown out of the app because of that, you can be thrown out because you were close to them and you knew several of them. Mm-hmm. So that has happened. So you need to be careful with who you invite, and making sure that they know what Clubhouse is about and how the culture is meant to be. So in the Clubhouse rule, it says that you need to be yourself, be respectful, be inclusive, build empathy and understanding, and foster meaningful and genuine connections. So I think it's really important to understand that, even though we have seen, as you say, a lot of other rooms that might not concur to that. But what Clubhouse has done is that they are now recording all the rooms. Every conversation is being recorded, and if somebody decides to report what is being said in the room, Clubhouse can go back and listen into the conversation, and people can be thrown out. What they also done is that they first throw out the people and then they listen to what has been said. So it can go quite quickly if there are several people who report you, then you can be thrown out immediately.
Yeah. And you don't want that to happen because it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
So some of my favorite formats are, one morning I woke up and a guy was playing the guitar and another guy was singing. It was like the backup to Simba the Lion King. So these are like artists that are,
Yeah.
These are serious artists. And it was so beautiful. It was like piano and he was singing and kind of, it was so rap kind of, but also like kind of folk music. And I was like, this is incredible. Like, and also in these times of COVID, when, we stay at home more, whether you live in a country where you're forced to, or whether you live in Sweden where you just, take your responsibility. I haven't been to a concert since January, February last year.
Yeah.
I haven't had the pleasure of enjoying somebody creating music as an experience for me. So I was having breakfast and I almost started crying. I was like, this is so beautiful. Like, how amazing is this? And
but also because it's in beta, you also get to join in when they are creating the music sometimes.
Yeah.
And listen in to how also professionals are working. So I was listening into a room with Spanish speaking people. So they were both from Latin America and from Europe, and of course from the US. And they were trying out the algorithms of the profile at the Clubhouse. So they were like live trying out different things and seeing who would end up on top of who, and if it matter if you use feminine or masculine in your role description and things like that. And it was quite fun.
It is.
They couldn't figure everything out, but we got to understand some of the things. And the profile, by the way, is so important at Clubhouse. It's the only space where you have written something about you. So you don't chat, you don't have anything of that. And that's also something I see that beginners, they don't really fill in their profile. And you should fill in both your professional you, but also your personal you. Because when you enter in a room and you want to join in to the conversation, what happens is often that the moderator will have a look at your profile, and instead of you pitching yourself and giving your full resume, the moderator will pick something from your profile and say, hey, this is interesting. Could you share a little bit about this? Like the guy did with me when he saw that I had put in that I spoke Portuguese. He was like, Maryam, tell me a little bit more about this. So it has nothing to do with my job, but it was a fun thing to talk about in that room. So it's good to put in a full profile. And I think there is more than 1,000 characters. I've heard something like 3,000 characters or something like that. And also it's good to put it into notes or something, another system first, or a software, because at Clubhouse you can't add emojis or anything like that. And emojis are searchable on Clubhouse. So it's really good to put in some emojis. It's also to break up the text and make it easier for people to read your profile. And it makes it also more personal.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to connect your Instagram and your Twitter, especially Instagram. People often DM at Instagram. And as a moderator, I can turn off the hand raising function so people cannot raise a hand if they want to get on the stage and join into the conversation. And sometimes the moderator has turned that functionality off, and then they ask people to join them on the stage. And they are like, why is nobody coming up here? And then people will DM them through Instagram telling them, hey, you forgot to turn this functionality back again. So DM for Instagram is really, really important to have at Clubhouse.
It is really interesting in that sense, where this is one of the first, I guess, social media networks that actually leverages another one for functionality. That's really...
And I think they've done it very cleverly, because some people are like, oh, I miss the messaging functionality at the Clubhouse, but I think they've done it on purpose, because what happens is that people are going to Twitter and to Instagram and having the conversation around Clubhouse there, and then other people will see what they are doing and they will get interested in the app. So it's like a growth hacking trick, I think.
Indeed. And should we talk a bit about the stage and the hand raising and that whole dynamic?
Yes.
You're way more experienced at it than I am.
So some people, they get a little bit scared when they see that it's called being a speaker or being on the stage, as people call it as well. It's really not that serious. It's just chiming into the conversation. So there is a functionality where you can raise your hand if you want to join the conversation on stage. If you're not on the stage, you cannot speak, and you cannot applaud, or you don't have any functions to show. So in the smaller rooms where it's up to maybe 10 people, often everyone is on stage, so that everyone can join in and, as I said, have a little bit more dynamic conversation. I've also seen the hand raising being used in larger rooms as a way to ask questions, like a little bit like a Mentimeter. How many of you have been scared to talk on stage, for instance? And then people will raise their hand, and only the moderator can see how many, but they will then tell everyone like 56 out of 100 here has been scared, or how many has tried to do this, and then people would raise their hand. So that's quite fun. And then we also have the profile picture that can be used to make a room a little bit more interactive. So yesterday I was in a room where they did 24-hour hackathon, and when they were presenting what they've done, they changed the profile picture to the slides.
And that's where the PTA comes in.
Exactly. So then you press to refresh. So you have to drag the screen down, and then you release it, and the pictures will have changed. So that's one way of doing it. And then, of course, the slides will be quite small because it's a profile picture. So you have to press it to get it larger, and then you can see the profile picture slide that they are talking about. Another way of doing it is, I've heard about the book club where they showed the book that they wanted to talk about. So people are doing quite a lot of things with the profile. So the profile is quite a lot in focus. And below the stage where the speakers are, you can see attendees that are followed by the speakers. So they are in a section by themselves, and then there is a section for everyone else in the room. So the speakers can easily see if somebody that they are already following are entering the room. And oftentimes they can bring those people up to the stage, because if they're following them, they have probably had some interaction with them and they probably know what value they could bring to the discussion.
And so in order of importance, the speakers on top, the friends of the speakers below, and then the other just general listeners, and anyone can raise their hand and you get bumped up to the stage, or maybe not.
Exactly.
Yeah. So another format that I like is there's this professor at Stanford called what's his name? BJ Fogg, and he's written a book on habits, and he also runs the Change Tiny Habits program at Stanford, which is the same. I think a lot of the stuff that has been implemented into Instagram at a very early stage to basically make it more addictive and more pleasing, and maybe not too addictive either for that matter, he has a course in it. And now he has I think a pretty regular club or a room where you can go and listen to what people find helps them with their habits. So his format is 1 hour. You get to talk 1 minute of what makes your life better, thanks to, habit management, which is, a lot of the stuff. If you're into this type of stuff, right? I work with UX, so I'm like super interested. Like, how do we make good experiences? But I thought that format was really nice. And then you have these rooms where there's like thousands of people. How have you reflected with large versus smaller rooms?
I don't enter too much in the largest rooms where you have like thousands of people and listening, because it's often a lot of moderators, like 35 moderators are counted one time. And you can really join into the conversation, and I find them more being about the moderators pitching themselves, them sharing knowledge and including the participants. And I told you about this. I entered one of those when I was quite early on at Clubhouse, and there was this millionaires and how to become a millionaire, and it was a speaker that I recognized because he's been here in Sweden as well, and he said the same there that he did here. It was, if you want to become successful, you should pay a celebrity to pose as your friend, take a lot of pictures, and then show everyone how successful you are. And then they will pay more for your services because they think that you are so successful. And that's not really my thing, I'm not too fond of listening to those advices either. So I prefer to go into the smaller rooms. And actually, I worked with search engine optimization as a project manager previously. So it caught my eye quite early on, the rooms that were discussing the algorithm. And that was before I entered this millionaire room, and they were talking about being authentic, being real, etc., etc. And I said, of course you're real. How can you not be real? And then I entered the millionaire room and I understood what they had been talking about. But yeah, I've heard also that the founders of Clubhouse prefer rooms up to 30 people, because that's when you get an engaged conversation. I've heard that so in different rooms. So I believe that it's something that they said during one of the town halls that they are holding. So,
and what is a town hall for the ones that don't know?
I haven't joined yet, but the town hall is, I think it's 3:00 in the morning in Swedish time on Sunday. And I'm not sure if it's every week or once a month, but it's a meeting where the founders of Clubhouse share what they are working on, and also taking in suggestions and listening to the members of Clubhouse. So for instance, I've heard now that there will be launched an Android version for Clubhouse soon to come. I think it's within 6 to 8 weeks, something like that. And there will be a desktop version as well, so that you can use Clubhouse on your computer. Also, something that I like a lot is that they will add a link to the rooms so that you can share the room that you are in. So that's something that I'm looking forward to. What I don't know if it's coming, but I know that Dominic, who is normally scheduling our fitness walk and talk rooms, she's missing a functionality to be able to copy paste or to just click that this time and date is for all weekdays and this is for weekends, and something to make it easier, because she has to fill in all the information for each room, so she can't replicate it.
Oh dear.
Quite a lot of work to do so.
And I remember when we were in the room last week during our session, I know that you mentioned something about kind of managing your hallway. Like if you follow certain people, you will also be presented with preferences more aligned with the people that you follow.
Exactly.
So you might end up with a hallway full of stuff that you have no interest in. And then you kind of basically need to figure out, okay, where does this come from? And then potentially even unfollow that person.
Exactly. So I mean, it's like every other platform. I remember my aunt, she told me, Maryam, you're posting too much on Twitter. My feed is filled up with your things on Twitter. And I said, yeah, and you know what? My Facebook page is filled up with yours, because she was more active on Facebook than I was. So we said, okay, we will unfollow each other. We are still family, but it was a little bit too much at the time. But it's the same thing. If you go on Instagram or Clubhouse, you will see what people you are following are doing. And if they are entering a lot of rooms that are of no interest for you, even if it's your friends, you might want to unfollow them on Clubhouse, and you can stay friends outside of Clubhouse, because it will affect what you see and the possibilities that are presented for you. So, yes.
You think that's going to be around, or do you think that's kind of like a bug? How do you think?
No, it's not a bug. It's a way. It's that's why you follow people. You follow people to see where they are, in what rooms they are speaking, and so on. So that's the whole basis. So, and I think it will be more of that, because I don't think that Clubhouse will be able to present you all the rooms in the future, because it will be too many. So I think that it will be a selection of that reflects the rooms where you have been active yourself, and the rooms where people you are following or you are interacting with, the rooms that they are in. Mm. It will be very interesting to see what happens with my feed, since I'm following people who speak different languages and who have different interests, and I'm using it both for work-related things and also to get my fitness done. And it will be interesting to see how Clubhouse algorithms will deal with somebody like me.
Yeah, I will have to do a follow-up on that one to find out and see what happens. Yeah. Do you have any last bits and pieces you want to add?
No, I just want to say that whenever somebody gets on Clubhouse, I would really advise them to dedicate some time the first week to move around and explore the app, and also book some hours during nighttime, one day during the week, preferably not weekend, because the platform is a little bit unstable when everyone is there on the weekend. But weekday night to explore what's happening over in the US as well, because that's where a lot of things are happening right now. So that's my advice.
Maryam, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's always lovely to have somebody to get excited about new stuff with.
So, yay! I'm so excited. I just love it.
Yeah. And what's the name of your club or your room if anybody wants to go and walk and talk with you?
It's called 1 Hour Fitness Walk and Talk. And on Tuesday, tomorrow, I don't know if it's going to be launched by then, but we are going to have a room about investing in yourself and what stops you. And I'm holding that with a career coach from India.
That is wonderful. I'm looking forward to that. I hope to be able to join in. And yeah, best of luck with everything. And I'll see you there.
See you. Thank you.
Take care.
Take care.
So this episode is in partnership with ProgressData.io, a research-based tool for HR managers to measure what matters when it comes to gender and diversity, pay gap, and creating parity reports with actionable improvement suggestions. That's ProgressData.io.